start talking about what I want to talk about, which is books. You cannot get me so excited. I'm like happy dance, waggy tail, all kinds of things about books. And one of the books that I read recently was called Under the Whispering Door. It is a bestseller. TJ Klune wrote it, I believe. That one I might have to look to make sure I got the author right. And he did such a magnificent job of writing a love story that was not like your typical love story. It was actually a love story. Now, I have a definition of love story and romance. They're two different things to me entirely. I got distracted by the dogs that are running over here in the field as I'm walking home. Love stories. Let's start with romance. Okay, romance. Romance, I feel like the genre, it's focused on the physical aspects of relationship. It's high priority for the story for them to be physically attracted to each other. It's the first thing within the first few pages of them meeting. In fact, it's the first thing that's noticed when they meet is how much they are physically attracted to each other. And then they spend the entire book or movie or whatever talking about and focusing on the physical aspects. They usually end up sleeping together. They usually end up, talking about the touches and all that stuff. That's what I would consider as a romance. Okay, we're gonna get these dogs in my back. Nope. Okay, cute puppies. So a love story focuses on the emotional aspect. Yeah, I know there can be respect with a romance, the physical side, but I mean, wow, this is really hard to explain. I thought it would be easy. The emotional aspect, the support, the mental, the physical, all the support that people need when they are in a relationship. And the physical side takes a back seat. The connection, that's it. The connection that they make is what makes it a love story versus a romance. So I'm going to pause there and pick up in just a minute. That video that you just watched, I made almost a year ago. When I decided that I wanted to make a YouTube channel, it has been a very interesting year and I've learned a lot and I'm learning even more still. It's been a lot of fun. Let's get back into the video. I was defining the difference between a love story and a romance. I've since that video have refined my definitions a little bit. The definition of a love story is that it's focused on the relationships and the emotions that go with the relationships. They tend to build each other up in these stories and help each other grow. It also includes different kinds of loves. I count friendship as love, familial love, not just romantic love, though a love story isn't always a romance, but a romance can be a love story. The physical part of the romance is almost an afterthought. It comes out naturally and organically. It doesn't always have a happy ending. That's important to me for the difference. It seems to be a deeper connection to the reader. And a love story will stick with you long after you have returned it to the library. You'll think about it, you'll mull over it, you'll remember how you felt as you read it. You may not remember what you read exactly, but you do remember how you felt. The definition of romance as a genre is focused more on the physical aspects of a romantic relationship. Not just physical intimacy, but also the physical attributes, the physical responses to someone. And basically, it's a little pink pill for women. And the effect of the book lasts about as long as the effect of the pill would. And it always, it has to have a happily ever after. That's part of the formula. It's more formulaic than a love story. Love story is more organic and more real. There is a place for both kinds of books in a person's library. I tend to not particularly like to collect books that are on the physical side of the romance. Yeah, the steamy novels don't have a place on my bookshelf. That's all there is to it. Where does Under the Whispering Door fit into this video? I was introduced to this book by my middle child. She didn't know if I would like it, but I did end up liking it a lot. It is a queer love story. It has mild physical intimacy. However, one of the protagonists just happens to be a disembodied spirit, so how much trouble can they get in, right? There's some mild swearing, and it has a tidy ending. I won't tell you if it's a happily ever after or not, but for me it ended a little too tidily. It kind of cheapened the story a little bit. The gist of the story is this. I'm going to read you the back of the book. Welcome to Charon's Crossing. The tea is hot, the scones are fresh, and the dead are just passing through. When a reaper comes to collect Wallace for his own funeral, Wallace begins to suspect that he might be dead. And when Hugo, the owner of a peculiar tea shop, promises to help him cross over, Wallace decides he's definitely dead. But even in death, he's not ready to abandon the life he barely lived. So when Wallace is given 1 week to cross over, he sets about living a lifetime in 7 days. Hilarious, haunting, and kind, Under the Whispering Door is an uplifting story about a life spent at the office and a death spent building a home. As the action unfolds, the focus is on Wallace and his growth and the connections he makes while he's waiting to cross over. Now, the romantic love story is a natural part of the connections. It comes out organically and it is very well done. Wallace does all of his living and loving after death. There is also a found family element to it. This little tea shop has this family that is very charming. By my definition, this is a love story. TJ Klune's other books are not quite this much of a love story. They are more romances. I fished around for books for something that's focused on the emotional connection like this is. There are emotional connections in the other books, but there's also a major focus on the physical intimacy, and it was too much for my taste. I cannot in good conscience recommend any of his other books, but I will recommend this one. Looking at the Storygraph, there are over 70,000 reviews for this book alone. So if you don't want to take only my word for this, search Under the Whispering Door and it will pull up all the information, including the reviews, all 71,000, I think there was 113. To recap, love stories, they're deep connections, deep emotions, just really a lot of meat to them. And romances are kind of on the shallower side. They're kind of one note, let's be physical. I would recommend Under the Whispering Door because it's a love story and it's beautiful. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you next time.